Earlier this week, LeBron James passed up Reggie Miller for all-time three-pointers made. LeBron James is now ranked sixth all-time on the three-pointers made list at 2,563 career three-pointers made, while Reggie Miller has moved down to number seven at 2,563 pointers made. So another longevity stat that LeBron James has now made history with. Is it impressive? I would say not so much impressive. Granted, I know people say I'm a hater, but I just feel again LeBron is breaking these records due to longevity. The reason why I would say I'm not as impressed by him passing Reggie Miller is because you look at how he did it. He just did it based solely on longevity. He played more games than Reggie Miller, and that's how he was able to pass Reggie. So he wasn't as good of a three-point shooter as Reggie Miller. LeBron James played a total of 1,565 games, while Reggie Miller only played 1,389 games. And if you do the math, that's 176 games more LeBron James has played for his NBA career. That is a little over more than 2 seasons worth of games that LeBron had over Reggie Miller. So he definitely benefited from longevity, being able to play longer than Reggie Miller. And then if you look at just the career field goal percentage for LeBron James, it is 34% overall from the field, while for Reggie Miller, it was 39%. So again, Reggie Miller was a better three-point shooter than LeBron. LeBron, to his credit, and I'll give him credit for this, is that he did improve as a three-point shooter, because when he first entered the league, he was a terrible three-point shooter. He was really bad. That one of his weaknesses were that you could leave him open for the three-pointer and he wouldn't convert at an efficient rate. So he worked at it to get better, and now he's at a career 34% from three-point range, which is basically average. So give him credit for taking the time to put work into improving his three-point shot from being below average to being average to the point now where you can't leave him open when it comes from shooting from three. But he definitely wasn't better than Reggie. He benefited from what I feel is like offensive inflation, where in this era, it was much easier to score more points easier due to the rule changes, due to the pace of the game increasing, whereas in Miller's era, the game was slowed down to a great deal. It was easier for defenses to focus on you due to the hand-checking rule. They could grab you, hold you, and not get called for that stuff. So it was definitely harder in his era when it comes to that type of stuff. And the other thing about it you got to factor in is the 3-point field goal attempts per game. LeBron James got to attempt a lot more field goals per game than Reggie was during different parts of his career. Think about it. For one season, LeBron got to attempt 8 3-pointers per game. That is absurd. Reggie Miller, the most 3-pointers he's ever gotten to attempt for a season, if you pull it up here, which I'm just looking at stats, is 6.6 3-pointers per game. That was the most. Reggie Miller only had one season where he was allowed to attempt more than 6 threes per game, whereas LeBron had about 1, 2, 3, 4 seasons where he could attempt 6 or more threes per game. That makes a hell of a difference when it comes to having the opportunity to make more 3-pointers. It definitely does. And you look at just the amount of threes per game that LeBron got to attempt for his career is 4.7. Reggie got to attempt 4.7 per game for his career. But there's some differences in that, because that was really around how many threes Reggie got to attempt, which was some seasons 4, some seasons 5. Whereas LeBron, towards the second half of his career, his 3-point attempts accelerated, where he was shooting 5 or more threes a game, 6 or more, 8 or more. So he was able to really catch Reggie in the second half of his career when he just upped his 3-point shots, where Reggie was just consistently shooting 4 or 5 threes per game in his career. But I believe if Reggie Miller was allowed to take as many 3-point attempts as a guy like Steph was in his career, where he's getting to shoot like 8 to 12 threes per game in his prime, he would be the all-time 3-point leader. It's just that he couldn't attempt that many threes due to the era he was playing in. Back then, it was sacrilegious to shoot that many threes, and Reggie was even lucky to even be allowed to shoot 4 or 5 a game. He was granted that exception because he was known to be a great 3-point shooter, but coaches really hated the 3-point shot back then, so you didn't really have the privilege, if you were a great shooter, to jack up like 8 to 12 a game like Stephen Curry was able to do in his prime. I think Curry probably still jacks up that many 3-point attempts. But then when you just even do the math on a deeper level and you see how many career 3-point attempts that LeBron was able to take, it's absurd compared to Reggie. LeBron took 7,334 threes per game. Well, not per game, 7,334 3-point attempts total for his whole entire career, while Reggie Miller, I'm just looking it up, how many 3-pointers he took for his whole entire career. So he took 6,486 threes for his whole entire career total. That's like 800 difference. So LeBron essentially took 800 more 3-point attempts than Reggie Miller. That's huge. That shows how acceptable it was for most of LeBron's career to be able to jack up as many threes as you wanted, which is why a lot of these guys now have higher three-pointers made than previous generations. I look at the all-time three-point list, and what I find interesting is that during the late 90s or early 2000s, I remember Dale Ellis once was the all-time leader in three-pointers made until Reggie Miller passed him either during the late 90s or early 2000s. Dale Ellis finished with 1,719 threes. And keep in mind, he used to be number 1 all-time. Today, he's ranked number 36. So since that time period, over 35 guys have passed Dale Ellis. To me, Dale Ellis is kind of like the marker of like the old generation and the new generation of the last like 25, 26 years. So you see how many guys have passed him since then. And that just shows you that the NBA has really focused on flow of the game, speeding up the pace, and getting rid of the old mentality of how it was not a good idea to shoot as many threes. Coaches just wouldn't allow it back then. Now it's perfectly fine. I look at some of these guys who have passed up Dale Ellis on this list, and it's interesting. Bradley Beal's now 35 on the list, but Bradley's a good 3-point shooter, so I have no knocks to say anything bad about him. But Carmelo's 34 now on that list. Carmelo was a chucker. So that shows you how this list is skewed now, because there are guys who are attempting a lot of threes. I look at another guy that really shocked me to be on the list is Wesley Matthews. He's 28th all time on this list. And then you see a guy like Chris Paul, 27, Tim Hardaway Jr., 25, and now seeing J.R. Smith, 24, is funny because I think J.R. Smith is really the stereotypical chucker of this current generation of players. Granted, he's retired now, but this guy was a very streaky 3-point shooter. He was either hot or cold from 3-point range. He would have games where he's on fire, and then he had games where he was just straight up terrible. And now he's number 24. He's way ahead of Dale Ellis. And you just go up the list. Jason Kidd at 19, to me, is amazing because Kidd was a horrible 3-point shooter for most of his career, but he took enough threes that by the end he got to be on the all-time list ahead of Dale Ellis. So all these examples really show now that it's really about longevity. If you play long enough and you just take a certain amount of threes per game, you're going to be somewhere in the top 20, 25 all-time 3-point made list, 3-point leaders, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're a great 3-point shooter. I look at Kidd, whose 3-point average for his career was 34. So like LeBron, he worked at it, he got better to the point he became an average 3-point shooter. But to me, this is like another milestone by LeBron that I'm not impressed by. It's just another boring milestone he passed And I'm sure he was shooting for it because I know he has a team of people that alert him about somebody he's going to pass up on the all-time list for a bunch of all these stats. So yeah, thought it was interesting, but to me, not really meaningful when you look at the grand scheme of things. Just thought I would point that out.